Oh hey, it's Wes, and the cicadas are out, and there's construction. But we're gonna take a look at a new light. This is the Sirui C300X II. Now, if you're used to the original C300X, this might not look very familiar at all. This is a new light taking on the new ultra compact form factor, which unfortunately has its ups and downs, as you might expect. We're gonna get into it, we're gonna go in deep and see if the trade-offs are worth it. Starting with the feature set. So this calls itself a 300 watt light. When you max it out, it comes in at 289 watts. Close enough, I guess. It also has settings for 200, 250 watts, 100 watts, 30 watts. The 30 watt setting is the silent setting. So to get this to go completely silent, you have to be at a very reduced capacity, which, I don't know, that could be fine for you. Maybe, maybe not. Totally up to you to make that call. And as you can see, we are outside on the move because this can be powered by 2 V-mount batteries. You have to have 2. The power supply itself has its own fan, so everything's cooling. It kind of reminds me of the Zhiyun G300, G300, where you have a cooled power supply and then an ultra slim light on top. It's a bicolored light, of course, and as you can see, it is obviously not weather sealed. Lots of holes and openings in this light. I will always hold everyone to that standard though. I want to see things weather sealed, especially things that can be run on battery, on the go. A big part of features are the effects that you can control through the Bluetooth app or on device, so let's have a look at those and see how they stack up. So big seizure warning for that, flashing lights. Skip ahead to the number on the screen if you don't want to see this section, but if you do want to see how the special effects in this light work, have a look here. The effects on the C300X are actually much better than I expected. They are both very quick, but also very smooth. Most lights, you either get quick or you get smooth, you don't get both. Now, they're not the most versatile, they're not the most customizable, but they are quick and smooth, which is surprising to me. And it probably has something to do with one of the trade-offs that we'll talk about later. In their write-up, it says that it has aerospace superconductive heat pipes. There is nothing superconductive inside this. That takes some intense, near absolute zero liquid nitrogen cooling. It might have heat pipes. That's probably the case. And before we talk about what may or may not be inside here, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10 for feature set. It has a ton of stuff. Our problems are not with the features. All we're really missing is DMX and weather sealing, which some people might want, some people might not. Where we might have problems is the build quality. As you can see, this is a very plasticky, squishy, the whole thing here I can squeeze and squish. There is a bit of a metal chassis on the inside, but I can't see how extensive it is. I don't think it's enormous though. We have, of course, a plastic Bowens mount. I don't like that. I've had those melt in the past in extreme circumstances. Now, I don't know what kind of plastic they're using, so I can't say for sure whether or not that will happen, but not super happy with the build quality here. I want to see things a little bit tougher. But there is an upside to that, of course. This is incredibly light. Like, This weighs practically nothing for a light that puts almost 300 watts of light out. So there is that. I could go either way on this aesthetic. It's got a bunch of designs and stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. It's not quite as loud as the new C60X, which we'll also be talking about soon. That's to each their own. However, for build quality, I have to give this a 6.5 out of 10. Hold up. Of all the times I've been using this light for months now, because I'm super late on this review, while I was recording the B-roll, the final stage of this video, the fan broke. It stopped running. I wasn't sure why, but then under closer inspection, it looks like one of the fan blades fell off. Now, I had not dropped this light, nothing had changed. I was just moving it around to get B-roll shots of it, and unfortunately, as I had mentioned before, I cannot open it up to replace the fan myself. Is this e-waste now? I guess I'll have to contact Sirui, see how much it costs to repair or replace that. It's not going to be easy to fix though, because this light is not easy to open. I have to amend my score for build quality. It's a fail. It's a 4 out of 10. Moving on to usability. And obviously that's where we have some wins here. You can power it on battery. It is very small. Now, to get it mounted, there's just this enormous handle. It has finder pins on it. You can mount it in the top or the bottom. I like that. But it's so big. It's kind of plasticky. It's got a big old billet of aluminum on the inside though to make sure that it is strong enough for mounting. But once you get this huge handle in here, it's not that small anymore. I much prefer the little spigots. Let me see here. They come with some Godox lights, which I've mounted on the Sirui C60X. Much smaller, more compact. You can fit that in your bag. And there's the dump truck running beside me. So this handle is a whole lot of space for something that's so compact. Also, as I mentioned before, you only get no fan when you're in the 30 watt mode. When you're at full power, this goes up to about 43 decibels. It's clearly audible. Depends on your shooting situation whether or not that will be an issue. Let's turn this on the batteries. See how bright it looks outside. Let's crank this up to full power. There we go. It's very bright out here. I have a ND32 on both of these cameras, just so you know. This is at 100% output. Let's crack the reflector on here to focus our light down. Woo boy! And there is no mist filter on these cameras. So this is very bright, and it is being used outside in broad daylight. Well, I'm kind of in the shade. This is broad daylight right here. It's bright. So for usability, you have a lot of options here. You can do a lot. So the biggest downsides for me are going to be that dangling power brick, which for some people is a plus, for some people it's a minus. It's got big air vents in it, so you've got to keep it in a safe place so it's not sucking up cat hair or water or dirt. Also, there is some banding in this. You're not going to see it in video. This is some very high-speed pulse width modulation that's going on here, and I talked to their engineers, and it is a conscious decision that they made, a trade-off, to get this small. I was doing product photography with this light in the studio, and I was getting some terrible banding. Once you go past 1/250th of a second, or up to 1/250th of a second, I'll show some examples on the screen, what that looks like, you're going to have some problems. They are well aware that at normal video frame rates, 1/50th, 1/60th, maybe 1/120th, you're not going to be seeing this. And so that's the trade-off that they made. You tell me whether or not that's a problem for you. So for usability, I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. I would have taken off more points for the PWM banding, but again, I've never seen it show up in video. And this is a video light primarily. Can't strongly recommend it for photo use or hybrid use. Next up is light quality, and we're gonna have to take a seat and go over the graphs here. Light quality. Starting out with our CRI at 5600K, 98.1, very good, very high quality. 2700K, 98, and there's not a lot of variation on that. You turn down the brightness, 97.9. Practically the same within a margin of error, but at 6500K, this is a common thing to happen. We're losing some of our skin tones, 92 CRI. Checking out R9 at 5600K, 98, phenomenal. And when we change our output level, 99. Again, margin of error, but a lot of lights, when you turn down or change the output level, the CRI, R9, the light quality in general might change significantly, and that's a big part of my rating. At 2700K, R9 is 94, and at 6500K, it's 96.9. Not bad, we're really only expecting a super high CRI at 5600K, and we are weighted towards that understanding. Now, if we look at our CCT accuracy, this is where we're losing most of our points. Set it to 5600K, you get 5419. 2700K, you get 2772, not too bad. But at 6500K, you're only getting about 6200K. So it's not going as cool as it's supposed to. And as far as the Kelvin shift, again, much like the CRI, very stable here. Set it to 5610, you turn it down to 10%, they're at 5575, almost no shift at all, very solid. So if it wasn't for that inability to get down as cool as it's supposed to get, everything else about this light is very solid. It's an 8.8 or 88.5% on our CCT color quality. So that brings us to our last category, value. This comes in at $350 US. I don't know about tariffs and all that nonsense, I'm in Canada. The old one was $630. That's wild. Much larger light, much heftier light. So they really went aggressive on this price point. And you'll see how aggressive that is in a second here. As I mentioned before, the Zhiyun G300, $380. You can get a 300 watt bicolored light with like some solid build quality, like the GVM Pro SD300B for $340, often on sale, sometimes $390. In around the ballpark, but it's significantly larger. It's not really the same thing. I don't think you can power it on battery. So you're getting stuff here that you're not getting everywhere else. And obviously you can pay a lot more for 300 watt light, like the NOLED M300 for $990 and the Aperture LS300X, kind of an industry standard for about $1,000. So I think our value is a very obvious 9.5 out of 10. It's possible to get 300 watts for less, but not in this form factor and versatility. That gives us a total score of 78.7%. And unsurprisingly, we lost a lot of points on our build quality. It's not just because it broke, but we also lose points because it's difficult to repair. I'm coming down hard on manufacturers for that now, for repairability. We landed pretty far down the charts for that. Had it not been for that issue, this would have been a much more solid score. Well, obviously from a more solid light, but we wouldn't have hit that aggressive price point. So that is a trade-off. If they hadn't glued it shut, if it was very easy to open, maybe there's a way of opening it without breaking it, but it is not obvious, and I don't like that. Altogether, when it comes to the features and the capability and the value, it is a tremendous bang for your buck. What do you think about this? What do you think about the trade-offs on the Sirui C300X Mark II? Let me know down in the comments below. And we'll have a look at some other Sirui lights coming up soon. So until next time, let's go take some photos and some videos.